You're right, Andy, there's no pressure for race 3. The Masters are back out for more of that close racing that we've become accustomed to. And what a season it has been. No points to be awarded, no challenges to make, just racing to the flag. Let's enjoy this.
Thanks, Paul. Well, throw into that the fact that this is a partially reversed grid and we are guaranteed action in our final race of the season. It's Matthew Short and Ben Hansey on the front row, with Ben Abbott and Ian Tomlinson next. Ali Bray and Paul Bateman are on row 3, ahead of double winner Ben Short, with Paul Monteith for company on row 4. Bobby Andrews and Jordan Johnson round out the top 10, ahead of Adrian Johnson and Paul Maguire, the champion-elect, who has scored 6 wins so far this year. However, Ben Short, our double winner so far this weekend, is on 5, so if he can complete his second hat-trick of the season, he will tie the champion-elect's win tally, despite having competed in less than half the races. The lights are out though, we're away in racing for the final time in 2018, and the rush towards riches begins. On the left-hand side there from our onboard camera, we can see Ian Tomlinson, who we reckon is only a point behind Ben Hansey for second in the championship. Ben, though, is fighting for the lead, but backs out of it as they run in towards Rich's corner. So Ben Hansey, having started there on the front row of the grid, not getting a great start actually, and that will help Ian Tomlinson's chances. Essentially, if he beats Hansey in this race, he could be second in the championship. The red flags though are flying, so we barely get into this race, and the race is being stopped. We know not why. We assume there is a car that's stopped somewhere out on the circuit, either on the grid or on the green flag lap, but the race is being neutralised and we'll have to do this all over again now. The medical car follows the field round on the opening lap anyway, so that's not necessarily anything to worry about. There clearly is a car stopped in a dangerous position, so a restart will follow. Well, having got the car cleared out of the way, we are good to go racing then. Hopefully this time, this will be the final time that we see the red lights go out in the Davanti Tyres MX5 Cup by 5 Club Racing. The racing gets underway. The field rushes away from the start-finish line. Oh, and it all gets very, very congested indeed straight away. That was car number 76 there, moving across. That was Ali Bray trying to find some room. Ends up actually losing momentum, getting sucked into the pack. It's Ben Hansey, though, who makes a much better job of the start this time around and leads them into turn number 1. So Ben Hansey may have waved goodbye to his championship hopes, but second place could still be his as long as he beats Ian Tomlinson in this race. Down towards the hairpin they go. Tomlinson, though, looking the burgundy car, is going second, so Ian Tomlinson immediately applying the pressure. Matthew Short there, the 72 car, runs a bit wide. We're on board with Ben Short, who took advantage of that, and with this partially reversed grid, the top 7 finishes from race 2 have been reversed to form the grid for this third and final race of the weekend. So Ben Short has some real overtaking to do. He's got past 1 or 2 already though. He's into 5th look, and he's immediately trying to go on the attack to get up the inside of another car down towards the hairpin. Meanwhile, there's contact in front of him. Oh, that's Paul Bateman trying desperately to shut the door on car number 19, and that was all getting a bit robust as they went into Agostini that time around. They just about keep it clean. That was Ben Abbott, the purple car, that was trying to get up the inside. They're still wheel to wheel as they go through Hamilton, and on the grass now is Paul Bateman, so it looks as though Bateman may be about to lose that position. Down towards Oggies they will go. The 192 car there, Jordan Johnson, started towards the back of the top 10. Now he started, if you remember, near Paul Maguire, the champion-elect, but Paul really has been a bit off-song this weekend, and it may be that if he doesn't have a good result in this one, these 3 races will be his 3 worst of the season, so it's a good job he'd been so consistent up to this point. He can fall back on these 3 races as his drop score, which is why, although he's only 30-odd points in front of the rest of his championship contenders, they cannot get close enough now to beat him in the championship. Side by side for second place, and that was Ben Short, I think, who's carved his way through the order, and he was going around the outside of Ian Tomlinson. Did he make it stick? As he did, so the white and red car goes ahead of the burgundy coloured number 9 of Tomlinson. 4th is Bateman, 5th place is Ali Bray, and 6th then for Ben Abbott. They're the 2 cars with the purple on them. Ali Bray the white and purple, and then the all-purple car number 90 is Ben Abbott behind. Then it looks like it's Matthew Short next in line as they head through the long right-hander at Coram onto the brakes down at Murray's corner. Possible overtaking opportunity, but in these early stages, people just trying to keep their powder dry, I think. Not wanting to make too many mistakes. Back down across the start-finish line then, and 1 lap completed in this final race of the season for the Davanti Tyres MX5 Cup. And it's Ben Hansey that leads the way. Second place is Ben Short, though, and Short has already closed in on the race leader. So it's the 2 Bens fighting for the lead of the race. There is Matthew Short in the other BS Motorsport car number 72, started on pole position. It's now another Short, though, that could be about to find their way to the front of the field. Down towards Wilson they go. Hansey really having to defend the inside line. And look at that, Paul Bateman's got up the inside of Tomlinson for 3rd. So Ian Tomlinson's hopes of taking 2nd in the points are starting to look a little less likely now, aren't they? He's dropped down into 4th position. He's got Ali Bray away right behind him. His only saving grace is the fact that Ben Hansey may be about to lose the race lead, but Ben isn't keen on giving this one up. He's finally got himself in front of Ben Short, and he does not intend to let Ben go without a fight. Down the hill they go in towards Agostini. Short to the outside, Hansey to the inside to defend. Tomlinson tried to come back at Paul Bateman there, but can't quite brake late enough to get up the inside. Back through the left-hander, the top 5 cars pretty much as one as they head in towards Hamilton's. And if they keep on squabbling, then the rest of the pack might start to close in as well. It's good though that we've got a perfectly dry circuit and hopefully some really good racing here to round out what's been an exciting season of racing in the 750 Motor Club's Mazda MX5 Championship. And a championship that continues to go from strength to strength as well. A really competitive season this year with a 3-way championship fight coming into the last round. And okay, Paul Maguire was able to wrap it up early as a result of those really consistent finishes that he had earlier on in the season. But the racing has still been really good, especially since it's dried out here this afternoon for the final couple of rounds. Yesterday's wet race was certainly a challenge for the drivers. I think it was a success if you managed to stay on the road, but today they've really been able to let their hair down and enjoy some great quality Mazda MX-5 racing. Back through the Brundle and Nelson complex they go then. Hansey still leading the way, and Short, having latched onto his tail almost a lap ago now, hasn't yet been able to break through the defences. He gets very sideways actually through the bomb hole and then in towards Coram, where Hansey still is able therefore to hang on. Ben Short looking a bit ragged there as he is finding out that it can be quite difficult to overtake certain people in this championship. Ben Hansey leading the way and is perfectly entitled to defend this position. He doesn't get such a good exit from Murray's though, and so Ben Short does drag himself alongside, and dragging himself into contention at the moment is Paul Bateman. Look at that on board with Ben Short. Much superior traction now to the final corner, and through he goes. So Ben Short takes over the race lead, and he should be able to turn into Riches ahead. Yes, he can. So Hansey down to second, Bateman third. That's not the end of the world for Hansey though, as far as his championship points are concerned, because he's still 2 places ahead of Ian Tomlinson. In fact, looks as though he may be going back on the attack here, down towards the hairpin. Let's see. Short is desperately late on the brakes, misses the apex, but you can get away with that at the Wilson hairpin, because the next couple of corners, the next 3 corners in fact, are left-handers. So as long as you get a good exit, which you tend to from the outside line there, then you will have the inside line for the next corner, and you should be able to hang on, as indeed Short has been able to. So Short starting now to pull away, if anything, as they head down the hill towards Agostini, with Hansey second and Bateman third. This is the fight for fourth, and Ali Bray having a look at the inside. He might just get there because it looks like Ian Tomlinson now braked himself, and so Ali Bray up the inside line, makes his point made on the exit of the corner there, just slithers across in front of Ian Tomlinson and goes into 4th position. So Tomlinson's slipping back down the order, and this is pretty much confirming that this man, Ben Hansey, as things stand, will round the season out second in the points, but it won't be by a huge amount. The fact, of course, that Tomlinson beat him in the previous race means that Tomlinson had closed that gap right back down coming into this final race of the season, but Ben Hansey, even though he's lost the race lead, is still on the podium and doesn't at the moment, touch wood, look as though he's going to lose those podium positions. He is losing touch though with the race leader, there's no doubt about it. Ben Short has been the class of the field this weekend long. In this, only his 2nd appearance in the championship. He raced with us back at Croft at the 2nd meeting of the year, and he won all 3 races then. But Ben Short, who's been racing in numerous different MX5 championships this year in this Mark 1 car that he's got, the BS Motorsport car, and he has been winning races in pretty much all of them. And if he wins this one, it will be a 100% win record. Every one of the 6 races that he's entered, he will have won. So Ben Short really has been the class of the field. And you have to suggest that had he been around for the full year, he may well have become the champion. But then, who knows, maybe we'll see him back next year. But for now, he is just quite happy to possibly be about to match the win record of the champion, Paul Maguire. Paul Maguire is not running inside the top 5 or 6 as we've seen. He's had a bit of a lacklustre weekend, so Ben Short's been allowed to make hay. Gets a wheel on the grass there though as he turns into Riches. That was brave. And it's Hansey and Tomlinson, sorry, Hansey and Bateman for second, excuse me. Paul Bateman, the 42 car, is with Hansey. They're both losing touch to the race leader, but Paul Bateman doesn't really look to have the pace at the moment to go through. There is time left in this race. They were only about halfway into this final race of the season. There is Ali Bray, still ahead of Ian Tomlinson then. They're 4th and 5th. So Tomlinson not quite with the pace today that he had arguably in the first race of the day, actually. This afternoon's 2nd race, where things have unravelled for him slightly. He didn't get a great start, and so ended up slipping down the pack. He was behind Hansi anyway, of course, because Hansi benefited from the reversed grid. So Ian Tomlinson always had work to do in this one. There is still time to do it there. If you can find a way back ahead of Ali Bray, then the leading trio are not a million miles up the road. Could be able to close in on them. There you can see the purple car next in line. That's the number 90 machine of Ben Abbott, and then Matthew Short still running in the next position. So still no sign of Paul Maguire in this lead bunch. Just trying to keep his nose out of trouble here, really. Not get involved in any incidents, not damage the car, and just end the season with 3 finishes at least, knowing that the championship is already in the bag. So Matthew Williams onto the Bentley Straight, excuse me, which is one of the longest straights in motorsport. It's a bit shorter now than it used to be back on the original Snetterton layout when it used to be known as the Revit Straight. And nowadays it is a little bit shorter, but it's still mighty long. You hit top speed pretty much in these cars down at the end of that straight. There you can see the group of cars fighting behind, and somewhere in here possibly is Paul Maguire. I have to say I still can't see him actually. Head down the back straight towards us. Good battles going on though throughout the order, as is often the case. Towards the left-hander, we can see one of those battles raging on now. It's the 192 car working its way through. And having to get its elbows out to try and defend. Jordan Johnson there Johnson even trying to keep Daniel Grist behind him. Well, Daniel has run a bit better than this so far this weekend. This third race not quite going to plan. He's outside of the top 10. Through Coram in towards the left-hander at Murray's, and Daniel Grist there, the white, grey and orange number 43, feeling the pressure there from car 222. That's Adrian Johnson behind him. As at the front of the field, look at this, it's all closed in now for second place. And was that Bateman in front of Hansi that I saw there? Just caught a glimpse of them as they rushed in towards Rich's corner. We'll pick them up in a moment or two, but I think we may have had some changing at the front of the field. Here's that battle we were watching a bit further back. 222 car there, Adrian Johnson tagged onto the back of that group, not yet able to make any progress through it. The black and blue striped car. Here is the fight for second though, and it is indeed Bateman now into second place. Paul Bateman has found his way ahead of Ben Hansi. Hansi trying to fight back around the outside of Agostini though. This is a brave move, but it can work because again you get a better exit from the corner, and Ben, if he's brave enough, could go around the outside at Hamilton. Bateman leaves him just enough room. There's 2 wheels on the dirt there for Hansi, but he's still on the outside line into Hamilton. He backs out of it sensibly, but this could give Ali Bray a run down towards Oggies. Yes, look at that, the 76 car closing right in, pulls to the outside line. There's a lock up for Hansi, he runs out a bit wide and Bray's back up the inside. This is not what Ben Hansi needs, because he has this fight for second in the points to worry about, and Ian Tomlinson is closing in all the time that this is going on. There you can just see a glimpse of him at the back of this group. It is essentially winner takes all between those two. Whoever finishes highest in this race will come home second in the points, and well, for Ben Hansi, losing second place is not the end of the world. Losing third would not be great, though, because that would then put him right in the clutches of Ian Tomlinson. So, as they head down in towards Brundle, Bateman getting away now as a result of Hansi having to get defensive from Bray behind. That was a scrappy little middle sector there for Hansi. He was trying to fight back, and fight back in a very inventive way. I have to say, I haven't seen many moves made around the outside at Agostini, but it can be done if you get superior traction off the corner. He's had superior traction out of the bomb hole, look, because he's closed right back onto the tail of Bateman now through Coram corner. So this nice 4-car fight developing here for second position. It's all allowing Ben Short to continue to establish his dominance here this weekend. He's pulling away. There is Tomlinson in 5th, and he can see how tantalisingly close Ben Hansi is, but just can't quite get to him at the moment. There is your race leader, Ben Short, into the final third of this race now. And then the fight for second, and look at that, Bateman really having to defend the inside line. Hansi goes to the outside. He risks opening the door, though, for Ali Bray if he keeps on doing that. He almost did it half a lap ago, and yes, look at that, Bray's up the inside. So Hansi went to the outside there to try and apply the pressure to Paul Bateman, and ends up losing third place. So Bray goes through, and was Ali up the inside for second as well? Yes, he is. Ali Bray going for second place. He gets all out of shape at the hairpin, and now Ben Hansi joins back in as well. They're 3 abreast down towards Palmer's, and Ian Tomlinson could get up the inside of Hansi here. This is absolutely crucial for second in the points, and there are 4 cars, and you could throw a very, very small blanket over the lot of them as they go through Palmer's. It will be Bateman that comes out the other side still in second. I think Ali Bray is third, and Hansi somehow, despite being on the outside line, managed to fend off Ian Tomlinson. He's back up the inside line now, both trying to attack Ali Bray and defend from Tomlinson behind. In the end, I think he settles out still in 4th position, but that was some really good racing there. Ali Bray probably couldn't believe his luck. He cruised up onto the back end of Ben Hansey's car, only for Ben to open the door at Rich's, and then he nearly got up the inside of Paul Bateman. He's going back up the inside now in towards Oggy's, but that was from a little way back. That will compromise his exit speed. Is Hansey going to be able to take advantage of that, I wonder? In towards Williams now, minding that tyre stack on the apex. Still, it is the number 40 car ahead of the number 9 in the fight for 4th in the race, 2nd in the championship. Should they finish the other way round, they would be level on points by my reckoning, and then it will come down to the number of race wins that the drivers have. Well, Ben Hansey has 3, Tomlinson has only 1, so actually Tomlinson needs to get not just ahead of Ben Hansey, but get another car between them. But that's all looking a little more possible now, isn't it? The way that they've all concertinaed together, there are more positions up for grabs now, potentially, for Tomlinson, if he can just break into this group. He's on the back of it, but hasn't really been able to get fully involved. 90 car there, not far behind as well, that is starting to close back in again, that of Ben Abbott. So this could yet become a 5-way fight for the lower podium positions, with this fight for 2nd in the championship well and truly in the middle of it. Hansey does seem to struggle a bit out of the last corner, doesn't he? Dropped back again that time around. They've all dropped back though from Ben Short, who is now just 1 lap away from completing the hat-trick. And again, like we saw in the previous race, he's missing all of the action behind, because this is where the entertainment has been. And Bray is back up the inside there of the 2nd place man, Paul Bateman, potentially. Did he manage to prise the door open? Not quite. Bateman gets over to defend, and in fact Bray is a bit slow off the corner, so Hansey looks back up the inside. The leader coming out of Palmer's. We look in the distance though, there is Bateman 2nd, and Hansey is back into 3rd, so Ben Hansey has got himself back ahead of Ali Bray as they came through the hairpin. So Ben Hansey into 3rd position, and that will seal the deal now as far as 2nd in the championship is concerned, unless somehow Ian Tomlinson can get past them both and then hope that maybe he can get another car between himself and Ben Hansey. At the moment though, it's looking good for the number 40 car to take over 2nd place in the championship. He arrived here 2nd in the points, of course, about 5 points ahead of Tomlinson. Tomlinson was behind Hansey in the first race. Hansey was 6th, Tomlinson was 8th. Then in race number 2, of course, Tomlinson went 4th and Hansey was 6th. So that reversed the damage that had been done. But that first race of the weekend had to become a dropped score for Tomlinson, so that tightened things back up again. They really have been toing and froing all weekend long, and it comes down now to this last half a lap. But it does look as though Ian Tomlinson is running out of time, especially since Paul Bateman is now disappearing up the road from them as well. So Bateman looks settled in 2nd position. It's all about 3rd, with Hansey desperately trying to hang on because he knows that Ali Bray will go for this. He does not have to worry about the championship, does Ali Bray, who again has not been here for the full season. In fact, I think Ali is potentially making his first appearance of the year in the Davanti Tyres MX5 Cup, so he really is just going for podium finishes. Ben Short is showboating to the crowd and nearly threw away the race victory there as he came through the right-hander at Gorham, but he's built up enough of a lead that he can afford to show off on the final lap. And Ben Short, in supreme style, and I do mean style quite literally, is going to take the hat-trick of race victories here at Snetterton. 6 wins from 6 races entered for Ben Short this season, and he really has left his mark on the championship here in this final round. He takes the race win. In 2nd place will be Bateman, with Ben Hansey coming across the line in 3rd. Tomlinson was only 5th, so Ben Hansey is now confirmed as the runner-up in the championship. Confirmation of the result then: Short from Bateman from Hansey or podium, with Ali Bray and Ian Tomlinson rounding out the top 5. Ben Abbott, Matthew Short, Daniel Grist, Adrian Johnson and Lloyd Huggins inside the top 10 for the first time this weekend. Jordan Johnson, Graham Chatton, Sam Moody and Howard Lancashire are next, ahead of Stephen Rees. Paul Maguire down in 16th, ahead of Ian Van Reenen. Andrew Barrett with Paul Monteith, Ryan Lovelock non-finishes, and Seren Dallas and Bobby Andrews failing to start.
Ben, that is how you end the weekend.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend. 3 on the bounce and pole. I think we reset the lap record in race 1 as well. It's nice to come back to 5 Club, hang out with the fantastic people in the paddock, a couple of shandies, just enjoy the evenings and really have a good social crack with all the other drivers that are here this weekend.
You have been racing elsewhere this season. Can we expect you back here in the 5 Cup next year?
I'll always race my MX5. It doesn't matter where life leads me. I will always hope to come back and do at least a few a year. I just love the little cars. I think they're brilliant.
Well, it seems they love you too. They've certainly treated you well this weekend. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.